What is going on, everyone? My name's Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's the Game Week 18 preview. So this is where I go through some of the key topics and questions that you guys have been talking about and give you my opinion, as well as captaincy. We're looking at things like free hit this week, getting rid of Liverpool players, and loads of other stuff. Just before we jump into that, I did want to say the video has been kindly sponsored by OneFootball once again. If you've not checked it out already, it's completely free, iOS, Android devices. Just go and search for OneFootball and give it a go, or click the link in the description below and that'll take you through there as well. Otherwise, let's jump into this one. So first up, we'll talk about getting rid of Liverpool players, whether you should or shouldn't. Obviously, they blank this week in Game Week 18. Their fixture against West Ham has been cancelled. Obviously, that means West Ham aren't playing either, but I think from an FPL point of view, and no offence to West Ham fans, not many people or FPL managers care about them right now. So should you or shouldn't you remove them? I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer. A lot of it depends on your team, as does a lot of stuff in FPL. If you look at their fixtures, they are probably, for Liverpool, tough. Obviously, Liverpool, Man City, their teams you'd expect to win most matches over the season. So obviously to win matches, they have to score goals, maybe keep clean sheets along the way. But I think if you were going to get rid of Liverpool players for a certain period of fixtures between now and the end of the season, this might be the time to do it. So blank week this week, then Leicester away, one of the best teams in the league right now. Then Wolves and Sheffield United at home, both teams that don't tend to let too many goals in. So perhaps from an attacking point of view, not great, but maybe from a defensive point of view, not too bad to have two games at Anfield. Spurs away, Mourinho there as well. Man United at home, and Man United tend to do pretty well against Liverpool. Again, they don't tend to let too many goals in. Perhaps get the old goal on the counter themselves as well. So I just think, like I said, if there's a set of fixtures where you're going to get rid of them, this could be the one. Obviously, you are going to want them back in Game Week 25, for example, which is a little bit far away at the moment. They have a really nice set of fixtures, and there's nothing to say that they can't do well in these fixtures as well. I would just argue there's probably not too many games over those ones I've just read out where you'd probably want to captain a Liverpool player versus someone else. So, of course, Wolves and Sheffield United at home. At Anfield, you might want to captain Salah or Mane. But over those fixtures, not too many times, I don't think they'll be used as captains. So that could be one reason to get rid of them. But yeah, you can frame it either way. I'm sure a lot of people will look at that and say they're going to win every game, score loads of points. You're going to have to get them back in anyway. Just keep them. I don't think that's too much of an issue. They have kept 2 clean sheets in a row now. And to be fair, we expected more from Liverpool at this point. So is there more to come potentially? So obviously we've said lots of times, if Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold can get the clean sheets, then the big returns will come because they will get attacking returns as well. So perhaps you don't have to get rid of them. For me, I've got rid of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I wanted to put less money into defence and pump it into my attack. So that's the move that I've made. I will want him back for Game Week 25 and or when they have their double game weeks. Obviously, their game against West Ham will have to be rescheduled. But I've kept Mane because I just don't want to have to worry about getting him back in later. And I do think Liverpool are obviously going to continue to score goals. So it depends how you want to do it. Some people are getting rid of Mane to then, when they bring in a Liverpool attacker back, they're going to get Salah instead. So you could do that. But like I said, no right or wrong answer. Take a look at your team. If you've got bench options to cover them this week, then maybe keep them and reassess in the future. Yellow cards, one thing to mention, we're getting close now to when yellow cards kind of get reset. So up until Game Week 20, a player can only get 5 yellow cards. Otherwise, they serve a 1-match suspension. In Game Week 20, it doesn't really get reset, but you can then get up to 10 yellow cards before you get your first ban. So there are some pretty key players that are on 4 yellow cards. Now, we've had times in the past that Diego Costa was 1 yellow card away from a ban. Lots of people, including myself, didn't get him in, and he went on to absolutely smash the points and didn't get his yellow card for ages. So it's not necessarily a concern of mine to not bring these players in, but you want to check how many you already own and also how many you're bringing in, because it's fine to have 1 or 2 on yellow cards, but if suddenly all your players are suddenly banned for the next game, that gets a little bit annoying to manage. So some of the key players, so Trent Alexander-Arnold obviously not going to play this week, but if he gets his yellow card against Leicester, he'll miss the next game. Rico, who I've just brought in actually, Grealish, Richarlison, who a lot of people are talking about at the moment, Sterling, Wan-Bissaka. I guess most people aren't looking at getting Man United defenders in, but you never know. I guess with players like Wan-Bissaka, you've always got Maguire to go for instead. And Lundstrom as well. So again, he's probably a player that a lot of you already own. If he does pick up a yellow card in Game Week 18, just think about how you might manage it in Game Week 19. So just wanted to mention that as well, because we're getting close to that Game Week 20 deadline. And then Greenwood, lots of people talking about Greenwood this week, asking me about Greenwood. Is he a good option? I guess most people are considering this for a 3-5-2 and having him as their 8th attacker, kind of on the bench most weeks. I can't imagine most people are thinking about playing him week in, week out. Only started the Spurs game so far this season. I don't really see many reasons why he would suddenly start. I think Martial, James and Rashford is a pretty strong front three that Solskjaer has used quite a lot. Yes, he's done well recently. Yes, Solskjaer's bigged him up, but he's done that previously this season and then still not started him. And I think for that price, you've got to be realistic. You're only expectation for a 4.3 to kind of 4.5, 4.6 million eighth attacker is to get some appearance points and maybe the odd time get a goal or an assist out of them. But generally, you're not going to get too many points. But if you go in 3-4-2, it's not the worst option to have someone who's permanently on the bench. There's not really many options. There's him, Greenwood himself. Conley's injured. Will he get back in the side? Shane Long, not guaranteed to start, maybe for Southampton. Greenwood, obviously the same. And then Martinelli started the last two for Arsenal. But how long will that continue? Lacazette's missed the last 2 games. I can't imagine he'll be on the bench much longer. Arsenal in maybe not trouble, but they haven't got many wins since Emery went. That's obviously going to be a problem for them. So if Lacazette starts, we might see Aubameyang move back to the wing. Martinelli could miss out. So I don't know if there's really a good option from them. If you get him Greenwood for kind of starts, then I think you're going to be onto a loss from the very beginning. So a few people also asked me about Everton assets under Ancelotti, and obviously at the time of recording this, that move hasn't been made, but it seems like he is going to go to Everton, which is pretty big news. Not the kind of manager that I would have necessarily expected to go to Everton, but obviously there's a lot of good managers in the Premier League right now. So maybe he just wants to take his chance to kind of see how many of those he can beat. And Everton, obviously, quite a big club with a decent enough team as well. So maybe he can take them forward from where they've been under Marco Silva. I mean, he's got big pedigree. Exactly how he's going to come in, how he's going to line Everton up, it's very hard to kind of be able to say that from the off, exactly who he's going to start and things like that. If we're thinking about players that we might want to bring in, then Lucas Digne's kind of been forgotten. A lot of us had him at the start of the season. He's down to 5.7 million. We know how attacking he can be. So he might be one to look at. Does have a knock right now, so maybe Baines is going to get some points, but should be back soon enough. Richarlison is in cracking form. A lot of people even thinking of bringing him in this week. 4 goals in his last 6 games. Not too many bonus points recently, but is getting plenty of attacking returns. And I do wonder, Moise Kean kind of not really hit the ground running at Everton, in and out of the team. We saw what happened with him at the weekend as well. But Ancelotti is Italian. Maybe that will help him a little bit, having the kind of being able to communicate with each other, because Moise Kean is still quite young as well. So not sure how good his English is. I'm sure it's much better than my Italian is. But having an Italian manager might help him. And he's only 6.4 million. But right now, there's not really any players that I would want to jump straight on. I think Richarlison's a good option because he just always is. And he's been in good form recently. I'd like to just have a few matches to see how they line up. I think, again, if I was going to get one, it would be Richarlison. The rest of them, I'd want to see how they line up, whether he can get them more defensively sound, how they look in attack. Do players like Iwobi start week in, week out? It's all these things we're going to have to wait and see. Fixtures-wise, Arsenal at home, Burnley at home, Newcastle away, Man City away. So next 2 games are fine at home, but then Newcastle away, Man City away. I'm not sure they're 2 fixtures that I want to absolutely be jumping on. So I can wait for Everton players, but if you want to get Richarlison, obviously, he's always a good option. Taking hits in a blank. So, I mean, taking hits is always a controversial subject. Some people love them, some people hate them. I've taken a -8 this week and made 4 transfers already. You can watch my team selection video to find out exactly what I did. But I would say hits are always an option. All you've got to remember is, will the incoming player score 4 or more points than the one going out, or the combo of players, will they score more points than the hit you take? Preferably in that game, but over the coming game week. So if you're targeting a fixture turn, you might get unlucky and not get the points in the first game week, but maybe over the course of 3 or 4 game weeks, it will be better for you. I think lots of the time people just want someone else to tell them it's okay. If you want to take a hit, do it, and absolutely you should. I took out kind of 3 bench fodder players, so I kind of sorted my bench out and got players that I want going forward as well. And again, a few people have kind of said to me, well, it's going to be a low-scoring game week, so you shouldn't take hits. And I kind of get the thinking behind that. But only the players who are involved in the hit matter. You can score 30 points, you can score 80 points. But if that hit pays off either way, then it was worth it, especially if it was in the long run as well, like if you were getting players in for the long run. So I wouldn't panic too much about taking hits. If you think it's going to be good for you this week, then absolutely do it. People are right, though. Ranks are very close, so even a -4, -8 can drop you down tens of thousands of places at the moment. So only do it if you're absolutely sure. And then free hit. So people asking who to get on free hit, whether to free hit. I mean, questions I would ask myself, right? I'm not using it. How bad is your team right now? What are you going to do when the blanks and double game weeks come around? Because free hit is very nice to navigate those. Only Liverpool and West Ham are missing out. So if you've got triple Liverpool, okay, maybe you'd want to use it. But how many players do you not already own that you think are capable of making it worth it? So a lot of us already own kind of like Vardy, maybe a Man City player, Spurs player, etc. You know, how many of those teams do you want to double and triple up on the free hit? So I would have a think really about how many points you think it's going to get you. Again, not trying to talk anyone out of it. I just think you have to look at your own team and decide from there. If you are going to use it, I picked out some differentials rather than doing a whole team. So Jota versus Norwich away. I know a lot of people obviously liking Jimenez because he's been so consistent. But Jota's 3.4% owned looked really good in recent weeks. Williams against Palace at home. Palace not been great attacking wise. I know they got their goal against Brighton, but away to Newcastle, I think is going to be a different story. So 3.6% owned for Williams, quite attacking as well. Richarlison, just spoke about him versus Arsenal. Arsenal looking in, like I said, a little spot of trouble, or at least not doing as well as I'm sure their fans and manager would like right now. And he's actually only owned by 7.9%. Grealish, another one who's quite popular right now, but still somewhat of a differential, 9.2%. And then a bit more kind of numbers-wise differentials. So Lucas Moura versus Chelsea at home. I think that game could be open. So a lot of people going Ali and Son, but Lucas Moura a lot cheaper, a lot less owned, 4.6%. And more pay as well versus Sheffield United. Scored 3 and 3. Kind of been forgotten about. I owned him earlier in the season, but had to get rid of him. But he seems on a bit of form. Sheffield United not necessarily keeping a huge amount of clean sheets recently, and he's only 1.4% owned. So there's a good few differentials if you want to hit your free hit this week. Captaincy is going to be good this week because it's going to be wide open. It's not just going to be everyone on Liverpool. Obviously, they're not playing. Nor will it be everyone on Vardy because they're playing Man City away, which, again, he could. I've said this a million times this week. Could get points, but if you're going to ever bet against him, Man City away probably would be one of those fixtures. So, in general, in that game, I don't know if it'll be tight or not, or it'll be an open game. I think that's my issue with kind of the Man City-Leicester game and the Spurs versus Chelsea game. I think both teams are able to defend. Obviously, City by having a lot of possession, and Leicester have got the super Soyuncu and Johnny Evans in centre-back as well. City also losing that game would mean they're 7 points behind Leicester, which would be a pretty big gap to overhaul, and they're already obviously looking to overhaul a big gap with Liverpool. So you just wonder whether they'll keep it tight or just absolutely go for it. And it is hard to predict with Pep. We know he likes to go for it no matter what. So I think that's got a chance, that game, of starting frantically, both teams trying to get ahead. Potentially it could open the floodgates if there's an early goal. Otherwise, I think it will just revert to being a tight game. So it's pretty difficult. I can't complain about going for Kevin De Bruyne at home or Sterling. Sterling's still getting plenty of chances, right up there for expected goals over the last 4. Obviously got his goal against Arsenal as well. And De Bruyne has looked great all season. And 19 points is not nothing to kind of be sniffed at when you're going into the next game and deciding captaincy. I just think both teams have got the potential to keep the score down. Obviously, you only need 1 goal, 3 bonus to come away with a decent enough score. I just think I would like to target a different match. So I'm not probably going to go for Vardy there or Kevin De Bruyne. Now, Watford versus Man United, obviously most people are probably looking at Rashford. I think the counter-attacking argument's been made to death at this point by myself and others. But it has kind of shown, like he did so well against Spurs and Man City, and then struggled in the last game against Everton when they sat a bit deeper. And I think Watford, to be fair, against Liverpool, obviously new manager bounced a little bit. They look pretty good attacking-wise, not too bad defensively as well. I'm just not sure they're going to let Man United counter. And Man United just don't have a playmaker to make things happen until Pogba's back. So I quite like Rashford as an option against kind of a weaker team. I just worry that if it's one of those games where they frustrate Man United, they're going to struggle to have a way basically to break Watford down. That could spell trouble. So Spurs versus Chelsea is probably the game that I'm currently targeting. I've got some, but Ali works, Kane works, potentially Abraham as well. Maybe even Pulisic could get something from this game. But again, will it be open or not? I'd like to know your thoughts on both this and the Man City game. I think this has got a little bit more chance of being open. Obviously, Mourinho versus his old club, Lampard versus his old manager as well. Both will want to win, of course. I think you can say that about every single game. But a win would allow Spurs to overtake Chelsea. So there's quite a bit right on it. I mean, that's a big kind of confidence boost, a big win for Mourinho over his old club as well. So I think both sides, Lampard and Mourinho, will think that the other team is there for the taking. Pulisic for Chelsea, look, underlying stats are still good. He's still getting plenty of chances, but 5 blanks in a row, I think you'd be hard pushed to put the captaincy on him. Abraham's still getting a few good chances as well, but I think Spurs are the kind of ideal team here at home. Now, I bought in Son, he's probably going to be my captain, but if you look at the stats between kind of Ali, Son and Moura, Ali is arguably the front runner. Most big chances, most shots in the box, nearly as many chances created as Son as well. So if you own Ali, he could be a top captaincy option. And then the last one is kind of Norwich versus Wolves. Obviously, I've already spoke about Jota being a differential, but I'd say not many people own him. And Jimenez has just been so consistent. Is he going to get a big score against Norwich? I'm not sure. People saying they've been better defensively. They've still conceded in most of their recent matches, but they did keep Leicester down to 1. And this is obviously a home match for them as well. So that would maybe worry me a little bit about Captain Jimenez. But he is the postman. He always delivers. So he'll probably get something. But from a captaincy, you probably want the choice of explosiveness, and I'm just not sure he's going to get that against Norwich. So I'm kind of targeting the Spurs game. I think Man United's fine. If you think Man City versus Leicester is going to be open, then Sterling, De Bruyne and Vardy are all good shouts. But I think Ali's probably number one, but I'm going to be captaining Son. So that's it for this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Much appreciated. As always, obviously, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about what I said. You disagree, agree, got any other questions, that kind of stuff. If you're new around here, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And lastly, if you've not tried OneFootball, like I said, it's completely free, great app. You can go and give it a go for free and see what you think. iOS, Android stores. Just search for OneFootball or click the link in the description below and that'll take you straight through. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will catch you next time. Stream tomorrow at 9 PM. See you later all.